Imagine a place far from everything. A small settlement at the edge of Patagonia. No traffic, no city glow, no artificial light for hundreds of kilometers. Only darkness, and one of the clearest night skies on Earth. You step outside with a friend. Just a quiet walk under the stars. The air is still. The town is asleep. Then suddenly, a violent flash. A burst of light so intense, it blinds you. For a moment, the entire landscape is illuminated. Hills, ground, sky. It feels like daylight has returned in the middle of the night. You shield your eyes, and when the glare fades, you look up. The light isn't coming from the town. It isn't coming from the ground. It's coming from the sky. Welcome to Anomaly Desk, a channel dedicated to documenting underreported observations from around the world. Today, we are going to tell the story of how a photographer managed to capture something unexpected in one of the most remote regions of Patagonia. Eve Díaz is a photographer living in the small settlement of Clemente Onelli in southern Argentina. In a place far from major cities and artificial light, she documents landscapes, daily life, and the vast night skies of the Patagonian plateau. Through her work, she seeks to make visible what often goes unnoticed, the quiet details of a region rarely seen by the outside world. Used to working in darkness and open landscapes, she spends many nights photographing the sky above her village. On the night of the incident, Eve stepped outside with a friend to photograph the moon. It was just after 4 in the morning, a quiet moment in a silent town under one of the darkest skies in South America.
At around 4 in the morning, I was outside with a friend near the entrance of the village. We had gone out to photograph the moon. At first, I noticed a small light in the distance. I thought it was coming from a sign or something in the town. But as I kept looking, I realized it was something completely different. The light was above a nearby hill, in an area where there is nothing, only open land.
The area is almost completely dark. Beyond the last houses, there is nothing but open land and low hills. The light grows stronger. The friend standing beside Eve begins to feel uneasy. Within seconds, fear takes over. She steps back, then turns, and moves away from the scene. Eve reacts differently. Instead of leaving, she reaches for her camera. A reflex shaped by years of photographing remote landscapes and night skies. Whatever this light is, she wants to capture it.
At first, it appeared reddish and small, moving in a circular motion. Then it changed color and became an intense white. It illuminated the ground below as if a powerful spotlight had been turned on. For a few seconds, it felt almost like daylight. I raised my phone and took a photo. When I looked again, the light was gone. There was no sound, no visible source, just darkness returning. I don't know what it was. I can only say what I saw. A very intense light descending from above that illuminated everything for a few seconds.
A meteor or atmospheric entry can briefly illuminate large areas of land. However, such events normally produce a visible trajectory across the sky. A fast-moving streak rather than a concentrated beam. They also tend to disperse light broadly rather than projecting a focused column of illumination toward a single point on the ground. In this case, the witness describes a localized beam with a defined origin and direction, which differs from the diffuse glow typically associated with meteoric events. Powerful ground-based lights or industrial projectors can create intense beams visible at long distances. Yet this explanation raises another question. According to the witness, the light appears to originate from above the surrounding hills and descends toward the terrain. In a sparsely populated area with no known industrial installations, identifying a ground-based source at that elevation becomes difficult. Satellite reflections or orbital phenomena remain possible. Certain satellites can produce brief flashes or glints visible from the ground. However, these reflections usually appear as distant points of light and rarely generate illumination strong enough to light the landscape below. The intensity described in this case suggests a far more concentrated source. Experimental concepts have explored the use of orbital mirrors capable of redirecting sunlight toward the Earth's surface. If such a system were responsible for an illumination of this type, the source of the light would likely be positioned at a much higher altitude or at a far greater distance than any ground-based installation. From the observer's perspective, the beam would appear to originate from well above the surrounding landscape, descending toward a specific point on the ground. A powerful searchlight mounted on an aircraft or helicopter could, in theory, produce a concentrated beam. Yet no engine noise, rotor sound, or aerial movement was reported at the time of the observation. In remote environments, where sound travels clearly, such activity would normally be detectable. Each conventional explanation offers partial similarities, yet none fully accounts for the combination described: a concentrated beam of intense light appearing from above, illuminating the ground, and vanishing within seconds without a clearly identifiable source. While the event remains unexplained, it is not entirely without precedent. In recent years, several brief illumination events have been reported across southern South America, often lasting only seconds and rarely investigated in depth. In 2025, wildlife monitoring cameras operating in the Patagonian wilderness of Chile recorded several intense descending lights over an isolated area with no human presence. The images, captured automatically by scientific equipment, showed luminous streaks appearing to move downward toward the terrain before vanishing within seconds. Researchers examined multiple possible explanations, including insects, reflections, and atmospheric phenomena, yet none fully accounted for the recorded images. Long before modern photography, several indigenous traditions of southern South America described mysterious lights appearing over open land or distant hills, often interpreted as natural or spiritual manifestations. These lights were seen as part of a landscape where the sky and the earth remained closely connected. In Clemente Onelli, the observation lasts only a few seconds. A single witness, a single photograph. The light appears suddenly, illuminates the terrain, and disappears without an identifiable source. Weather conditions are clear. No aircraft or installation is confirmed in the area. From an observational standpoint, the event is documented, but not explained. For now, the case remains open.